Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. You'll be pleased to hear that normal service has just about been resumed. I have the new PC set up and running. Mostly got everything reinstalled on it. World of Tanks is on there, I've got the test server on there, I've got War Thunder on there. And the replays that you're watching in today's video were all recorded on the new PC, and holy shit, it's quick. The new PC specs are in the video description. I won't bore you with the details here. If you're interested, you can go and have a look. And I will be showing you the new PC, as well as the man cave, the gaming room where all the magic happens, in the final Project Man Cave video, which hopefully should be up in a few days. But the focus of this video is all about them stream snipers. What's a stream sniper, Jingles? Good question. Glad you asked. In this game, I'm playing with Quickie Baby. He's in his T29, I'm in my Cherie. And as always, when I'm playing with Quickie Baby is live streaming the games. And stream sniping is what happens when somebody realises they're in a match with Quickie Baby, and they immediately flash up his Twitch TV channel so they can cheat, basically, and see where all of the enemy tanks are. Now, as it happens, the enemy Tier 7 heavy tank platoon, at least one of them, was stream sniping us, and it ended up not really doing them any good. Annoying, but not critical. I mean, they're in Tier 7 heavy tanks. Quickie Baby's in a Tier 7 heavy tank. We're on El Haloof. There's only really one place that you're likely to run into each other anyway. So, on a personal level, the fact that we were being stream sniped didn't really make that much of a difference. We were only really ever going to run into the enemy Tier 7 heavies on this corner of El Haloof anyway. But this was a 45% win rate game. We were going to have to work hard in order to be able to get a win out of this. And they're not just stream sniping us. If you're watching Quickie Baby's stream while Quickie Baby's playing, you can see Quickie Baby's map and you know where all of our tanks are. So it was really, really annoying. But like getting YOLO'd if you're a famous YouTuber, getting stream sniped is pretty much just an occupational hazard if you live stream World of Tanks. Now, yep, I did just bounce off an M5 Stuart. Yes, I know, don't ask. Now, I have been hit a couple of times here, and the first shot from artillery knocked my gun out. I've already used the repair kit to repair my gun, and you'll note that my Cherie does not yet have the autoloader 75mm with the 3-shot magazine. I'm using the non-autoloading version of this gun, which to all intents and purposes is the same as the gun on the Chito, the Tier 6 Japanese medium tank. Except, since you're using it a tier higher, you do get a slight improvement in the soft stats, things like aiming time, accuracy, and it's not a bad little gun. In fact, you know, you could say that about the Cherie as a whole. When you look at the stats of this thing on paper, it should be terrible. And there's very little about this tank that you can point out and say, yep, that's good. And there's a lot about this tank you can point out and say, yep, that's not good enough. And yet, I have never really had a bad game in this tank. And I should be having terrible games in this tank. I just don't get it. I mean, it's a huge target, it's got no armour. The gun is, well, the gun's alright. The penetration's adequate, the gun depression is very good, 10 degrees. The rate of fire is really, really good. But it's a tank that has to expose itself and keep that gun firing in order to do damage. And it's a huge target, and it's got no armour. And yet somehow, it just seems to work. And getting the autoloader 75mm version of this gun tends to deal with some of the temptation that you may have to stay exposed and keep firing when you probably should be pulling back, because it only has 3 shots in the clip, and it empties that clip very, very quickly indeed. So you pop out, bang, 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 you pop back. With that autoloader, you don't get yourself into trouble the same way that you can with a tank like the Cromwell or the EZ8, other tanks that have low alpha damage, high rate of fire guns, where the fact that the next shot is going to load so quickly encourages you to stay in position, shooting at targets after having given your position away, when you really should be thinking about pulling back and popping up somewhere else. You don't get that choice with an autoloader. It's pop out, bang, 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 pull back, reload. Meanwhile, this team is actually doing really, really well. We're winning 8-4. We've got some absolute heroes who've managed to get themselves into the cap circle. Between us, we've killed the enemy tanks that were in the cap circle. We're now in charge of the game. the enemy team want to win, they're going to have to root our tanks out of the cap circle. And remember, the XVM mod rated our chance of winning this match at 45%, and this is why I turn XVM off as far as win rate percentage and displaying the statistics of the tanks in the team lists is concerned. Because I've seen far too many people just abandon a game right at the start because XVM didn't think they had much of a chance of winning. And even a broken clock tells the right time twice a day. In order for that win rate percentage to be calculated at 45%, that means you have to actually win them 45% of the time, so there's still everything to play for. Quickie Baby, of course, does have win percentage prediction and enemy statistics enabled, and he uses it purely as an indication of how hard he's going to have to play in the upcoming game. 45%er, 35%er, look after your health, make every shot count, because you're going to need it. I, on the other hand, I just find it too depressing staring at a wall of red on my team. And so I turn it off. I'd rather not know. As I've said before, I'd rather have that crushing sense of disappointment saved for the end of the game rather than when I'm staring at the loading screen right at the start. And the enemy team have pulled the scores back. They are showing us why this is in fact a 45%er. And they still have a very strong tier 7 heavy tank platoon. Or they did, until the two of them decide to throw caution to the wind, YOLO Quickie Baby, and pay the price. Quickie Baby falls back, yells out for support, asks for fire on the T-29, we kill him, I move forward to get around this IS. This IS has just thrown his tank away. One of the strongest tanks and one of the best players on the enemy team, and he drives into a position where he's getting shot at from 3 sides. All because he wanted to be the one to kill Quickie Baby. And the Tiger ended up being the one to get the kill anyway. Oh, sneaky bugger, put one into me as well. And then artillery has a go. That Tiger actually did really well. I mean, you know, you'd expect a Tiger to do well in a match like this, and he was a good player. Unfortunately, he's been spotted. And he's out in the open, and he's exposed, and he's getting shot at by at least 4 tanks. And all because they just had to be the ones to kill Quickie Baby. And they got him, but it's cost them 3 tier 7 heavies. Not entirely sure it's worth the trade. And it's only a matter of time before we nail this Tiger as well. Go on ELC, there we go, finished him off. So what they got left? Well, not a lot. Artillery, who's put a couple of shots into me. T-34-1, who I've put a couple of shots into, and the Crusader could be AFK for all we can tell. He hasn't been spotted the entire game. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if he was. And, oh, there we go. Now all they have left is the artillery and the Crusader. And the T-34-1 driver seemed inordinately pleased to be killed by Jingles. It was my pleasure. And so, despite the fact that this was a 45% win rate according to XVM, and despite the fact that certain members of the enemy tier 7 heavy tank platoon were stream sniping us and knew exactly where all of our tanks were at all times, this actually wasn't a bad game. Not least because we had a team that just decided, screw the odds, we're not losing this one. This next game, similar but different. So, we are being stream sniped again, only this time it's going to make things very, very hard for us. The enemy 121 driver is watching Quickie Baby's livestream, he's seeing where we're going, he's listening to us saying, okay, we're going to head down to E0, and he's not only telling his team where we're going, he's telling us that he's telling his team where we're going. And just in case there was any doubt whatsoever, at this stage of the proceedings, I had had a pretty terrible night of World of Tanks, and I was not in the mood for it. And I'd said on the live stream, oh, screw it, I'm reporting him for unfair play. At which point he started laughing about it in the battle chat. Oh, and it really had been a terrible, terrible night of World of Tanks. I mean, I'm here in my IS-7. Quickie Baby's in his AMX-50B were joined later on in the evening by Ike in his T110E5. And my gameplay up to this point in the evening had been less than spectacular. You know, it's really... people often accuse me of being, oh, it's easy to do well when you platoon up with people like Quickie Baby and Circumflexes and Ike. It's harder than you'd think. You platoon up with a guy like Quickie Baby, and you're very rarely going to get the opportunity to be anything other than a member of the supporting cast. Even if you do well, he's going to do better. Most of the time. And if you're not doing well, and the rest of your platoon are all doing 5,000 damage in every game, yeah, it can be pretty demoralising. And this had been one of those nights. So, it's fair to say I went into this game expecting the worst, and my expectations were confirmed when the enemy 121 driver started giving his team a running commentary on what our platoon was doing. And so, this is another one of those games where, as in my Fortitude video, which you may or may not have seen, but this is one of those games where, very, very early on, I quickly reached a point where I just thought, you know what, I've had enough of this. I'm sure you'll recognise that point when you see it. But for now, well, yeah, it's about as bad as it's going to get. Okay, so the enemy artillery and the enemy Waffenträger E100, and there's the artillery, managed to splash both Ike and Quickie Baby. It was a good shot. You know, they were pre-warned that we were going to be popping up around here, but now we've been spotted. The worst has already happened. You know, the fact that we were being stream sniped at this point is largely irrelevant. The enemy team don't need a cheater to tell them where we are. You know, they can see us for themselves now. So what I'm trying to do here, bearing in mind that Quickie Baby and Ike have already been hit, is the front of the turret of the IS-7 is incredibly strong, and I'm trying to spot what I suspect is a Waffenträger E100 on the opposite ridge, but I can't afford to hang around. I have to keep moving because the enemy artillery is about to reload and take half my health off and kill my driver. So, lost half my health, done 0 damage, dead driver. Positions and intentions are being reported to the enemy team by a cheating scumbag in a 121. At this point, all interest that I had in carrying on playing this game had just gone. And I'm just sitting here, waiting for artillery to finish me off. And of course, artillery is only too happy to oblige. I mean, why wouldn't he? What artillery player wouldn't take a shot at a tier 10 heavy tank sitting in the open, just waiting for you to hit him again? There it is. Spotted, by the way. Not thanks to the cheating scumbag in the 121, but that absolute legend in the IS-3 over there. Tier 8 heavy tank going nose to nose, spotting all of the enemy tier 10s. He played a really, really good game. But once again, it's the guys in the platoon that I have to keep on fighting for. Not so much myself as the other guys who are relying on me and exposing themselves trying to cover me while I fall back. So, fall back I do. I'm no longer being spotted by the IS-3. But going forward at this point is incredibly risky. They all know we're here. That IS-3 is going to proximity detect us as soon as we try to crest that ridge. Artillery's pre-aimed on our position. There's a Waffenträger E100 up by the farmhouse. The IS-3 takes a hell of a risk cresting the ridge like that, and it sort of did and it sort of didn't pay off. He did spot me again, artillery did take another shot, but it missed. But the mood I was in at the time, I was actually disappointed it hadn't hit me. It would have at least taken the decision out of my hands at that stage, but now there's a bloody mouse coming around the corner, and Ike's going forward to engage, and regardless of how shit a game I'm having, I won't abandon the platoon mate, and I really needed that. The IS-3 driver could probably have done without it, but we're 5 minutes into this game, and that's the first thing I've done other than get hit over and over and over, and it was a real morale booster, and exactly what I needed to convince... Oh, shit. And then we lose Quickie Baby. And of course, it's the enemy artillery. And this spot on Redshire, on the new Redshire map, is a killing ground for enemy artillery. There's only one artillery in play, but there's no cover here. You can pretty much guarantee that as long as we're spotted, and we are spotted, somebody is going to take a big hit every 30 to 40 seconds. And I want to pull back around the corner and make this mouse come to us. But Ike's determined to get up there and put shots into him. Now, the front of a mouse is... Oh, Ike took a big hit there. And artillery finishes Ike off. Mouse is a tough target. However, I can penetrate the front of a mouse most of the time with my gun, as long as he's not angling it. The front of the hull is a good spot in between the two sort of mudguard flaps, if you like, and I took a bounce there, and I think it was the Waffenträger E100 bouncing off my turret. But you can also get through the turret front of the mouse if you aim to either side of the gun mantlet, providing he's not angling the turret. Now it's risky because it means that you have to basically take your shot as soon as the mouse aims his gun right at you, but it is doable. Of course, if you can shoot at the lower glacis and it isn't angled too much, you should shoot at the lower glacis. Now the mouse managed to get a hit into me. I am on 2 health. But despite the fact that I was pretty much 100% ineffective in this game until I'd lost almost all of my health, both of my infinitely superior platoon mates were dead, and the enemy team are being given a running commentary on our positions and intentions by the enemy 121 driver. By some miracle, I'm still alive. Oh yes, the 121 driver, you know, his rampant asshattery didn't just end at giving his team a running commentary on what we were saying on TeamSpeak throughout the course of this match. He's also taken advantage of watching Quickie Baby's battle map on the live stream to pinpoint the position of our artillery. Our artillery sees him coming, makes a run for it. Somebody gets a hit on him. And he comes around this corner, and I really don't want to get spotted. Artillery has had ample time to reload. He gets one into the arty. Arty backs off. He spots me, realises I'm sitting up here on 2 health. Instead of finishing the artillery off, he swings his gun around to shoot at me. Well, I'm having none of that. I'm not letting this guy kill me. I don't mind if the artillery kills me, but this guy is not going to kill me. And that felt so good. I mean, just, oh, justice. I cannot remember many kills in World of Tanks that tasted as sweet as that one did. Of course, artillery has reloaded. I need to keep moving. And the IS-7 can do a fair old lick of speed when it's going downhill, so put that speed to use, and artillery takes our artillery out, so looks like I'll live to fight another day. But I only have 2 health. Artillery is still in play, and he's damn good, and they have a Waffenträger E100, who was last spotted at the farmhouse on top of the hill that we were attempting to rush at the start of the game. And an IS-7 on 2 health is one hell of an inviting target. Artillery doesn't even have to hit me to kill me. Hell, if the Waffenträger E100 has the 150mm gun and high explosive shells loaded, he doesn't even have to hit me to kill me. Splash damage will do the trick. So I am feeling mighty nervous about crossing this open ground. I mean, if you were that Waffenträger driver, who would you shoot at first? Oh, we found the artillery. Somebody kill him, please. Please. I'm not going to get the shot. Right, okay, good. Now, it's just us versus the Waffenträger. And I swear, my spider sense was tingling all the time I was driving across this field. Over there is where I thought he was going to be. And yet my sixth sense didn't go off. So wherever he is, he does not have a line of sight to me. Now, the rest of the team are convinced that he's ran off down to the west, but I keep looking behind me. I'm not feeling very confident about this, guys. And I'm just expecting this tank to explode all the time I'm crawling up this hill. But I get up here, and nothing happens. And this is the exact spot where he was last detected. So the rest of the team are all charging off to the west. We've got a Centurion 1 who's sitting himself in the cap circle. Can't really say I blame him. He's only a tier 8 medium after all. And then me in a heavily battered, falling apart IS-7 on 2 health. And I'm not going chasing after any Waffenträgers. Not with this much health left. So I am going to help push the cap. I'm going to farm some loser points in the cap circle with the Centurion. Sit behind this bush here, so that if he is down there, he's not going to see me. But I just couldn't shake that nagging feeling that he was behind me. I do not know what it was, but I keep looking behind me because something was telling me, Jingles, Look behind you. Oh my god, he is! Oh, you have got to be kidding. Luckily, my gun was pointing his direction. I clutch a shot, start reversing, close my eyes, and he hits my gun! Fails to reset the cap. And before he can reload and fire again, yeah, looks like we've won. And so, once again, you know, as if further illustration was needed, even when XVM is telling you you've got no chance, even when the enemy team is actively cheating against you, even when you have had such a monumentally shit streak of games that all you want is for the enemy team to kill you and put you out of your misery. Sometimes, I mean, sure, most of the time you're going to die horribly and spectacularly, and it's going to be terrible, but sometimes grabbing a hold of that last shred of self-respect and fighting on when it seems completely hopeless, the hard wins, those are the ones that you remember. As always, folks, take care on that battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.